Hey everybody, this is Sage Valentine, and this is my review of NBC's Hannibal, Season 2, Episode 13, Mizumono. A Mizumono is the dessert at the end of dinner. It could be ice cream, it could be sorbet, it could be cake. Mizumono, dessert. Well, this also symbolizes the end of the season, and I'm not ready for it to end. I know I just watched the episode, but I just want more. But once season 3 begins and everything just goes well, then I'll be okay. And hopefully they show up at New York Comic Con 2014, and then I will have a video to show you guys and tell you guys about how crazy it's going to be, because I'm just truly excited for it. But anywho, guys, let's get to this review. So Hannibal basically forges a letter in Jack's name written to Hannibal from Jack, written by Hannibal. If you guys got it, hopefully you got it. Hannibal signed Jack Crawford's name outside of the envelope. I hope next season we get to find out what was in that envelope, because that letter, I don't know what was in that letter, but it probably implicates Jack in something, some way, somehow. Jack Crawford's telling Will that Hannibal sent him an invitation for dinner, and this will be the opportunity that Jack is going to use to apprehend Hannibal. And Will warns him that Hannibal will try to kill him in the kitchen, but then turns around and warns Hannibal that Jack will come to your dinner armed and ready. Okay. So Will is hearing voices in his head, people talking, and he can hear himself and Hannibal and Jack all talking together, sitting down, their destinies intertwining, they're eating dinner. And Hannibal mentions something about when the fox hears the rabbit scream, he comes running. But he says he doesn't come running to help, but I guess he comes running to come in. So here and join in. So this is the instance where Hannibal is basically asking Will, listen, when the going gets tough, when this happens, and when you hear Jack screaming, are you going to come and help him, or are you going to join in? Will's obviously going to join in, according to what he tells Hannibal. But really, I don't know where Will's head is at this point, because Will is like wavering back and forth, playing devil's advocate like Hannibal did. But it's crazy. Even crazier, to the point where as we jump from Will talking to Jack and Will talking to Hannibal, when it all culminates together and you see Hannibal, half of Hannibal's face, half of Jack's face, then you see the half of Will that's talking to Hannibal and the half of Will that's talking to Jack, and it's like two different people on that side. So I'm also worried about Jack, even as he's prepared for this battle. Is he going to survive this battle at this point? It doesn't look good to me. So Will goes to his house. He hears the dogs barking. He walks up the steps to the porch, and he sees Abigail Hobbs, his father, sitting on the porch swing, or the porch seat. And he basically shows Will how to shoot. And all of a sudden the house morphs into some sort of tree house. And you see a deer walking down, and Jack, I'm thinking of Hannibal right now. Will basically fires a shot with Hobbs' direction. So Bella gets a visitor. She's still upset, and it's Hannibal, of course. She's upset at Hannibal because he basically took the meaning from her death. He made her basically in between deaths. He didn't give her that choice. The only reason that he saved her was for Jack. And she begs him to please save Jack once she dies. And that scene when she's coughing, it's heartbreaking. When she's coughing and she can't breathe. Oh, poor Bella. Poor Bella. Freddie Lowndes, as crazy as Freddie is, she's already plotting her first editorial, her first news story when she resurrects, and she's a survivor, and she used to work as a cancer editor, and then Will begs her, listen, when you start writing, please don't write about Abigail. You can write about Jack, you can write about me, you can write about Alana, Hannibal, just don't write about Abigail. Just leave her alone. And Freddie Lowndes makes this haunting statement when she says, you really don't know if you're going to survive him. do you? Basically, I don't know if Will's going to survive either at this point, and it's not looking good. So we see papers falling, we see books falling, and come to find out, as I said previously, or maybe I didn't say that this video is probably the video I did before this, but Hannibal's trying to tie up loose ends. He and Will are burning his notes, papers, books, different things that will implicate him in, I guess, different crimes when the FBI comes looking through his stuff, looking through everything once they're gone. And Hannibal claims he's dismantling who he was and moving it brick by brick. He says, when we are gone, I will always have this place. And he talks about his mind and how he can retreat to a place called the Norman Chapel in Palermo. I'm assuming this is Italy. Hopefully it's Italy. With a skull in the floor, and how the skull represents death and mortality. Meanwhile, Will, all he needs to do to retreat in his mind is a stream. And he can just wade into the quiet of the stream. Which explains why he was doing all that fishing this season. Pretty much. So, Hannibal says that he will live in his memory place when he is apprehended. There are holes in the floor of the mind, or his mind. And this crazy thing happens. Once again, Hannibal in that nose, which proves that Hannibal is very refined and has a very, not only a refined palate, but a refined sense of smell. He goes up to Will, and like Will's kind of bent over, I think, and he kind of sniffs him. And it seems like something sexual until he sniffs, and you see the red hair, and you see the red, and you realize that he now knows Miss Freddie Lowndes is alive. How he did that, God only knows, but he knows she's alive now. And the gears are going through his head, and like the clock is going, but I'm thinking of gears and like a watch, or a pocket watch, or a wristwatch or something. So another beautiful scene was seeing Alana sleeping nude, her porcelain skin against the black the black satin or the black silk sheets wrapped around it, and the sheets move like water. It's beautiful. She says in sleep she sees dark swarming behind her eyelids. Darkness enters and encompasses her, and she feels poisoned. I could say that's an analogy for Hannibal, because it sure sounds like it is. So Alana says to Will, you saw what no one else could. All it took, Will says, was for the traumatic. So in other words, him going through all that he went through in season 1, that's what helped him see what was going on, as well as what happened while he was in jail and everything. So she said that you set a trap and you are goading Hannibal. She said, are you sure that he's not goading you? And she like sheds a tear, and the tear drops down, and there's like, it looks like a little blood in it or whatever. Then there's this strange feast that's complete, and it's between Will and Hannibal, and it looks like they finished some type of meat, which turns out to be lamb with like pears and I would assume tangerines and pomegranates and all blood red oranges and all that stuff, grapes and things around. You know, Hannibal and his beautiful centerpieces and beautiful dishes always have to look exquisite. So Hannibal starts talking about something called an imago. Hopefully I'm saying it correctly. It's the last stage of transformation when you become who you will be. It can also be an image of a fallen loved one or someone who's died, and it's a concept of an idea. So at this point, in other words, Hannibal is basically telling Will, like, listen, I know what's going on, but I basically want you to tell me. And Will's like going around, but he kind of lies in this scene, and it's not looking good for Will. So what happens is, he says that I think Hannibal says to Will, is it ideal that Jack dies? It is necessary. What happens is preordained. We could leave together tonight, says Hannibal. You could feed the dogs. Leave a note for Alana. It's almost polite. A last supper of this life. Hannibal's like, well, I did cook lamb. And Hannibal also says, I don't need a sacrifice, do you? Now here he's goading Will, like, listen, well, like, you might as well tell me, because I already know. And Will says, if I confess to Jack, he said, Hannibal then says, I will forgive you. And then Hannibal says, if Jack forgives, Will said he isn't offering forgiveness. He wants justice to see who you were and what I've become. He wants the truth. And Hannibal says to him, to the truth and all its consequences. Now, right here is the main sign here where Will messed up. He screwed up. And in this episode, I was just like, when is Will going to mess up? Because playing these two sides of this coin is going to catch up with him. And at this scene, that is when he basically screws himself up because he ends up lying to Hannibal. And Hannibal already knows he's got it. He figured it out. So we see this orange power suit, and of course it's my favorite person in the world. Kay Purnell, played wonderfully by Cynthia Nixon, but you know, if you watch my previous reviews, I can't stand Kay Purnell. I was like calling her all through my notes this heifer. She's about to basically F up Jack's plan. She basically wants to implicate Jack and Will into like this whole thing of trying to entrap Hannibal, like Hannibal is the victim. But again, this is Kay Purnell from the beginning of the season where she was all after Will. She wanted Will's blood when she couldn't get him the last time. She's going to try to get him this time. She's just evil. Then she mentions Bella as being sick and dying, and she wants to do an inquiry. So she's going to force Jack on leave. And I'm just saying at the end, like, can Hannibal please eat her? Like, have her for dessert or lunch or something. Like, I just can't stand this woman. So Jack basically puts down his badge and his gun. And I'm just yelling at the TV like, no, Jack, don't give up. But he resigns himself and lets the two men she came in with walk her out. So she's the new acting director, as if that woman needed any more power in anything. If you guys haven't watched my previous reviews about Kay Purnell, watch the first couple Hannibal reviews that I've done. Oh, that woman is just, ugh, I can't stand her. So she's basically, she wants to go after Hannibal herself. Now, Alana's saying that, you know, Jack and Will are the best chance to get them. They have this plan. They're doing fine. Just do not mess up this plan. And here comes Kay Purnell. Jack sanctioned Will's killing Randall Tier like Randall Tier was an angel and then hid it. The reality is that Jack misused the authority of his office, and she's going to bring them up on charges, messing everything all up. And Alana's like, well, Jack is going to keep on going. And of course, Kay Purnell's not listening. She's doing her own thing. So Alana runs to her car. She's telling Will, she calls him up like, there's a warrant for your arrest for acting as an accessory for entrapment for the murder of Randall Tier. Will calls Hannibal, tells him they know. Is it that they know at this point, or is it that Hannibal set this mess in motion? I got you guys right there, because I was thinking that when he kind of smirked when Will called him. Did Hannibal set this in motion? In motion? Could be. So Hannibal was none too surprised. And Hannibal's sitting there, he's cooking. Jack comes in. Jack says he couldn't wait to get there. Jack wants to thank him for his friendship. Hannibal puts this knife over the bowl, sees his face, and the next thing you know, Jack says, this is the clearest moment of our friendship. Knife, and all of a sudden Hannibal throws this knife into Jack's hand, and the battle begins. I mean, glass flying, blood spattering, punch after punch after punch. Alana arrives at Hannibal's house, sees the door open. She pulls out a gun. Hannibal nearly stabs Jack, but stabs him through the cutting board. And then Alana calls the cops. She enters the house with a gun drawn. And Hannibal stabs Jack with glass right in his neck. And Jack goes right into the pantry, and he's hiding. Hannibal has these two knives, and I mean, he is kabuki crazy. He is slamming against the door, and Alana sees this. She's asking, where's Jack? Hannibal says, in the pantry. She was like, I was so blind. Hannibal's like, I worked hard to keep you blind. You can walk away and stay blind. If you stay, I will kill you. Now, right here, he's telling you, like, I'm going to kill you, basically, and be blind, don't be brave. Alana pulls the trigger of the gun, and they're like, no bullets. I said, oh, my God. I said, come on. She's, like, shooting at nothing. So she takes off running. He drops the knives. And that's a sign there. I'm like, shouldn't he be going after her with the knives? She changes the clips. And then she's in the room. Like, she locks herself in his room. She starts firing through the door, and Hannibal moves like he's at the door, then he moves away from the door. And somebody in the corner comes slinking into the room, and who is it but Miss Abigail Hobbs? So that is what Miss Beverly saw. Yes, Beverly Katz must have seen Abigail alive, sitting down there in the basement in some type of weird thing where Hannibal was keeping her. Good Lord. So she basically says, I'm sorry to Alana, pushes Alana out of the window. This glass is flying. The next thing you know, we see Alana's dead body laying down, glass protruding out of her abdomen. Rain is falling right onto her. Will arrives, sees her on the stoop. Alana's dying. She tells him to kill Hannibal. Jack is in the other room bleeding to death. Will sees the blood coming from under the door in the pantry. Will is inside with his gun drawn. And as I said, sees the blood pooling under the door. Abigail Hobbs is alive, sans an ear, and she is crying up a storm. She tells Will, I did what he told me to. So Hannibal, and she's asked, where's Hannibal? Hannibal's behind him. He said, we couldn't leave without you. Hannibal gets close and he touches his face, and I know the fannibals that write fan fiction are going to have some type of crazy homoerotic sex scene type thing going on with this. That was a very sexual scene on top of the dinner that they had earlier in the episode. This was just extremely homoerotic. So all of a sudden Hannibal has this curved knife. He stabs Will in the stomach. He says, the teacup that I shattered comes together. The place was made for all of us. He wanted to surprise him. I let you know me, see me. I gave you a rare gift that you didn't want. You would deny me my life, my freedom, confine me to a prison cell. Do you believe you can change me the way that I changed you? Fate and circumstance have returned us to this moment. He says, I forgive you. Will you forgive me? And Will won't forgive him. All of a sudden, Hannibal grabs Miss Abigail Hobbs, slices her across the neck, blood flying everywhere. She's bleeding out on the floor. He said, you can make it all go away. Close your eyes and wade into the quiet of the stream. We see Jack dying basically in the pantry. Pretty much he lost a lot of blood, but then I can go back and say maybe Jack isn't dying, but he lost a crap load of blood. So hopefully the sirens are like a mile or closing in or something here. And Alana's dying on the stoop. Abigail's dead, and Will lays down. His face is pallid. It's like a pale white, ghostly white. And Hannibal leaves, and Will's laying there dying as Will sees the steer dying. And then we see clouds and beautiful air, and beautiful, like, the sky is just this wonderful blue. And then we see this airplane flying over, and it's Hannibal. And he's drinking, I guess he either takes the wine or the mimosa that this stewardess has. And he's going to Paris. And who is by his side? And ladies and gentlemen, I didn't even realize this. I should have picked this up. Bedelia Dumer. Yes, Dr. Bedelia Dumer. So yes, this season we got played. I was played. I said, oh my God. Oh my God. This episode was insane. This finale was insane. I am all here for it. As always, I always am. I'm so glad that you guys tuned in. We finally know what Beverly Katz saw. Miss Abigail Hobbs was alive. Thank you so much for tuning in. Just guys, stay tuned for my reviews of 24 Live Another Day, Mad Men, and Believe, because Believe is ending their season. I'm also going to do Extant, Under the Dome, Big Brother on CBS, and hopefully True Blood. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Thanks for tuning in. I love you all. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And if you love my brand of crazy, you love all that I'm doing, the flubbing of the words, and my overly gushing of these shows, please subscribe. All 79 of you guys are fantastic. You all take care. Have a blessed weekend. Love you guys. Bye, guys. Shout out to Michelle, Eve, and all the rest of the vloggers watching. Love you guys too. Bye, guys. Bye.